Yo, what's going on, everyone? It's Brian and Jim here with Drink a Beer and Play a Game, and welcome to another episode of the Power Hour.
How's it going, everyone?
So Jim, we have two very interesting beers for the people. Unfortunately, this was kind of a last-minute podcast. We want to try and stay consistent. So I grabbed just two random beers, and we have to split one each. So what's the first one we're looking at?
First one is a double Indian pale ale known as Venom Radio.
India. Damn it, Jim.
Whoops. I'm drunk. Anyway, it's by the Round Guys Brewing Company out of Lansdale, PA.
Whoop, whoop. PA.
Yes, I know.
Yeah, they don't have any clever writing.
They ain't got shit on here. Yeah, I can't do my bit. I can't even say how much alcohol's in here.
Which is one of the things I like.
I'm already not a fan. Hold on, I got to scan for my calorie counter. Doesn't come up.
What just came out of that cock holster you call mouth?
I might be counting calories now. I got to stick around past 50.
Why?
I have a kid.
So?
That's a good point. This came up as whipped cream, by the way, so this is a good app.
Jesus Christ. All right, so that's what I'm dealing with these days.
Oh, that worked.
Jim, never mind. I mean, it's a new year. I said that dick suck attitude you have is out the window. You'd be counting a lot more calories is all I'm going to say.
There's a lot of calories to count.
All right.
Let's put it this way. I saw what I was actually doing, and just by being even more than a normal intake, I'm still losing weight, so.
Yeah, of course.
There's some rough titties going on there.
So here's the deal. I don't ever want to hear you bring that shit up again, and I don't want you scanning beer in front of our audience.
Well, I want a goddamn beer that I can scan and make it work.
So
Coors Light would have been fine.
Jesus Christ. All right, so that's the first beer we're going to do. The next one is going to be from Knee Deep Brewing Company, and it's their Stout Tello. It's a hazelnut stout. You're not scanning it.
Right, let me scan it.
Get that away. So, yeah. But anyway, sorry to be so vulgar and disappointing at the beginning here, folks. We want to start off with one of the questions from one of our Patreons, a Game Whisperer. Thank you again for supporting us, bud.
First Patreon question. Woo!
So, how far can we get on Mario level 1 blindfolded? I don't know if he's asking this because everyone's doing that Bird Box challenge now.
It could be. Could be a time.
It's very interesting. Instead of us just guessing, I mean, we can guess, but I think we'll definitely do it.
I think we have to give it a shot.
We're going to videotape it, and that could potentially become a new bit, maybe Drunken Blind, trying to play through certain games. We know we've seen speedrunners who have been blindfolded in the past who can get through crazy amounts of the game. I can probably say for sure Jim and I won't even finish the level.
No, we're not going to get through it.
As far as who will get further, it's just going to be a matter of luck.
Yeah.
Neither of us will be practicing. Neither of us played. I mean, we've probably both played Mario. Maybe in total beating it, what would you say, 20, 30 times?
I haven't beaten it that many times.
I mean, I've probably only beaten it.
I mean, I've played it
8 times total. But
it's a game I'll pop in and play
but
for a
level
bit.
1, you've probably, when you have popped in Mario, you want to hear that first level.
Oh, yeah.
So...
No, that thing sounds like a thing we should actually experiment with.
Yeah, so we're definitely going to try that. So Game Whisperer, we'll go further than just guessing, and we'll see how far we can actually get. So thank you for the question, bud. All right.
So just remember, for the low price of $2 a month, you can make us look like assholes.
It doesn't take much.
Especially with me.
Well, Jim will have to count his calories that day. So, God damn it, Jim.
Brian, how many calories in a blindfold?
Stop disappointing me. All right, so you posted this first topic from Kotaku. The top Smash player gets a temporary Twitch ban for drinking too much on stream, and this is from January 8th. So it's
from Kotaku.
So first thing I'll say, this guy Joseph Mango Marquez,
man after my heart,
one of the 5 gods of Smash, he's the one who apparently got booted from Twitch, and I will say, I like his style. He's all eagled out. He's drinking Blue Moons, it looks like. Interesting choice.
And I think this was either the night... I think this is the night after they got into the playoffs.
Okay, so
probably like 3 weeks ago.
So basically what they're saying is that...
Well, there's a clip of it, but long story short is he gets on the stream, and he's just standing there, and it's like a classic, like out of a TV show. He's just sitting there, and then he just goes...
Like on purpose or definitely drunk? Okay.
No, just out. Apparently, when he does these big-ass tournaments, he's drunk as he's doing these tournaments and kicking people's asses. So,
yeah,
it like fuels him.
We've talked about this. Sometimes playing different ways that you would think would be bad. Like, I'm really good at Call of Duty and PUBG when I use no sound, which makes no sense. But the number of times we've been talking or we've done podcasts,
yeah,
you can actually watch my footage. I'm actually doing really well because for some reason I'm more hyper-focused on the mini-map or on other things. And maybe it's like Daredevil in reverse. Think about it. I mean, I am Frank Castle.
I am not thinking about shit.
We know that.
Just about the calories I have to count.
Yeah, this is one of those deals. Now, what I find interesting is, what if he just marks his streams as, you must be older to view, because he wants to, like, could we go on there, and we've gone on there, we drank a good amount. I can easily say we've been probably drunk a few times on there.
Yeah. We're not high profile enough either for anyone to care.
Yeah, but that's the thing is like, it's a weird thing. It's like everything with Twitch.
I guess they have their rules and crap like that. Apparently, the payouts from a reason he's doing like streams all the time is Smash. Like he does really well at Smash tournaments, but they don't pay out like other fighting game tournaments.
Yeah,
so it's how he supplements his income.
Yeah. I don't know. It's a shitty thing that they're doing that, but I can understand it.
Or maybe this was after Cody Parkey missed. This might have been after the double doink.
It probably was. But my whole thing is, at the end of the day, this is mostly viewed by kids. So I get why they want to do that, because they don't need a bunch of parents being like, my son said he saw a drunk person.
Yeah. All I know is he's my spirit animal.
You got a few of those, Jim.
Yes, I do. All role models.
So let us know what you think about that.
Yeah, do you think it's an overreaction? Do you think he should have gotten a little temporary ban?
Wasn't there, not to go completely off a tangent,
right,
wasn't there a lot of, like, there was a thing for a while, like a bunch of females who were on there, like if they were wearing, like we know there's been a lot of female streamers who, like, watch me play games.
Right, day streamers.
And weren't a lot of them starting to get blocked because they were basically just doing it like in lingerie or bikini?
I don't know.
And
because there
was a story, I just can't remember it. So I know some people will be like, yeah, you're talking about the da-da-da-da.
Well, there is that zombie unicorn chick who does like live body painting on there. And it leaves nothing to the imagination. But she gets away with stuff. But then again, she was part of that Bully Busters. Maybe she's like one of those with an in. I don't know enough to really give a full opinion on it. She has us blocked, though. But
she has us blocked?
Yeah.
What'd you do?
I might have trolled her a little bit after Bully Busters.
I'm gonna. By the way, if you follow us on Twitch, it's Jim, which is why half the times. Yes, I'm sorry. If you follow us on Twitter, it's Jim, which is half the times when he gives these terrible answers to things like favorite video games or favorite wrestlers, and I see your answers, I almost want to log in and delete that answer.
You're just mad I put Goldust as one of my top 3.
And DDP, who you liked for like 2 seconds, and then all of a sudden you're like, no, I love DDP. You're no
revisionist history.
No. So he doesn't hold both of our opinions. I just want to make that very clear. And I may start going in and just deleting and re-altering.
Don't you dare!
I might have to do that. So
I've built up a brand on there that is not translated to YouTube.
Either way, we know it's shitty things. Twitch, they're gonna start banning people who they want when they want. I'm not saying it's gonna happen full blown, but I'm not shocked they block a dude who's so drunk he's falling over.
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's their platform; they can do what they want. Free market, blah 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 blah.
Yeah. So
you don't have to like it, but you got to play by the rules.
I want to hear someone that's like really in defense of like he shouldn't be on there. To us, it's no big deal, but
yeah.
All right.
There's way worse on there.
So Jim also posted for the next topic from BusinessInsider.com. Natty Light is donating $10 million to offset crippling student loan debt, and it reveals a dark reality about America. It's a long ass title, but that guy's a dork.
Yes.
So here's my deal. I've seen a lot of these things, like these companies, athletes, celebrities, oh, I'm putting money towards student loan debt. Motherfucker, I have so much student loan debt, and I did.
Well, find a green top natty light and make a video.
Is that what you have to do?
Yeah, if you find a green top natty light and you make a video or some kind of post, then you can get in a drawing, and I think they... Sorry, I have a cold. I think they do, like, they pick a couple winners, and then they'll distribute $10 million between all of them towards their student loan debt. They apparently did another kind of promotion like this a couple years ago for less money, but it's along the lines of, like, private businesses. And, I mean, it is a marketing tool, but it's at least a good one that does some good. Yeah. Where it's like where friggin' Domino's was coming out and paving roads.
That was pretty ingenious. Whether it worked or not, who knows?
Right.
But
still the fact that, like, you know, like every government's corrupt, so the money could be going towards actually helping the people. So as a way of promotion and marketing, companies are actually helping people. So I see nothing wrong with this.
Okay, so then I will take back what I just said. Natty, pay off the rest of my student loan, please.
Brian, prep work.
So I am curious, though, how much, if you just want to guess, like, and maybe we can follow back up on this, what kind of percentage boom in sales? Because this came out on January 15th, this story at least.
Yeah.
Over the next however many months, how much do you think uptick you're going to see?
See, the problem is they're not advertising it enough, because I randomly found it on Twitter because, well, the shit I follow and trying to find content for the podcast, but I've never seen a commercial for this.
So Natty's says there's a commercial they'll be airing to promote this. I don't know if, are they saying they're going to try and get it on the Super Bowl?
They're apparently giving out money during the Super Bowl too.
Okay. So that's pretty goddamn cool. So if you do listen to us, I know a lot of you might not love the beer topics, but if you have student loan debt, shit.
Buy up Natty.
Buy up some Natty, and if you get the green tab, apparently you could do this after you make it. Bless you. Knock
Thank you.
That shit off.
Sorry.
So I guess I will be guessing a few streams, and maybe when we do some more drunken long plays.
I think a lot of podcasts are going to be sponsored by Natty Light.
Yeah. Or I'll just give it out. So
now, unfortunately, Keystone couldn't do it, but, you know.
Yeah, they're terrible. I mean, yeah. So, if I end up buying too much Natty, maybe if you're a fan...
Is that such a thing? Is it possible to buy too much Natty?
Maybe if you're a fan and you live near me and Jim, maybe we'll drink some beers with you, and it'll just have to be Natty.
I think the only time I ever really had Natty was at random, like, fraternity parties. And I never went to ones at the college we went to. I always went to the ones at UPenn, which was neighboring to us, because I had a buddy who went there. And it was always the richer frats that had it. Like, the wrestling frat was all, like, rich kids, for the, like, not all of them, but a good chunk of them were. And it was always just, like, keg after keg and Natty Light.
But, Jim, let's face it, no one in college had, like, bought good beer.
Not back then.
Yeah. So.
Except for us with Lion's Head.
Oh, yeah, come on. Gotta be class.
And Lionkugel.
So, guys, let us know what you think. If you're going to enter it, if you're going to start buying some Natty, yeah, send some pictures. When we buy it, we'll definitely send it. Jim, buy Natty for me.
Buy Natty for me.
No, buy it for me. I said it first.
I'll buy it for my damn self.
Don't be a dick.
Actually, God damn it. I went to the beer store today, and I picked up, actually, G Beer, and I forgot that Natty was doing this shit, so I didn't do it. Son of a... God, yeah. How does it... No, just...
All right. So, the next topic. This is something I put up, apparently, during one of my days of drinking, because I have bad memory. From Gizmodo.com, the Retro Champ turns the original NES into a Nintendo Switch-inspired all-in-one handheld. The thing looks ugly.
Big. Not comfortable.
I mean, I'm sure it has to be big to have a cartridge in it, like for the
2
NES.
cartridge slots for NES and Famicom.
Yeah, but I can't imagine.
I don't like the widescreen screen. Like, why would they not put a 4:3 screen in there to make it like
if you're
legit?
if you're watching this, the whole podcast, the link's below. You can see the picture. But if you're watching this segment, I have the picture up. My biggest thing is
because it looks bigger than the Wii U gamepad, but it's only $80 apparently, and it has an HDMI out. So if you're looking for like a way to play NES games on an HD TV for cheap, it's not. There's worse options out there.
Yeah. I guess my thing is,
and plus the Famicom part that's cool.
Do you think Nintendo's gonna allow this shit to run?
Well, that's the reason we have all these clone consoles now is because the patent ran out.
Gotcha.
So that's why we have like 4,000 NES clone consoles anymore.
You mean like that one we saw in the mall?
Oh, that guy.
What was that? 500 games in one or 900 in one?
Yeah, it was like a rip-off NES Classic Edition that had like 500 some ROMs on it.
So what's great is
being sold by some guy who doesn't know what the hell he's selling.
So what's great is like we're walking through the mall with our wives. They see this and they're like, "Oh, would you guys want that?" And we like laugh for like,
and they were like only $20.
Yeah, it's like, oh, it's dirt cheap. And what was it called again? It was like Retro Classic.
Oh, I can't remember.
It was like, so you know how there's the NES Classic Edition? It was like Retro Classic System.
Something like that,
And
yeah.
the writing, and I'm shocked they're getting away with this, the font was exactly like Nintendo style font. So even in their marketing, they're ripping that off. But we're like, let's just look at the games. And they had things for the games that like, I really wish I could remember, but let's just use like Metroid. I don't care. It would say like Metroid
5.
Yeah, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. It's like, wait a second. There isn't those many Metroids.
Right.
Because it was supposed to only be basically NES and maybe Super NES games.
Yeah, I mean, these are like cheap systems from China that they just buy over in buckets and then they get some schmuck in the mall at a kiosk to sell it.
So
it's the same thing like we don't have to talk about the friggin' like the Soldier Boy consoles. They're all Chinese rip-off consoles.
Yeah, of course. Wait, they're not legit?
Crank it.
Jim, should I Superman that hoe?
Oh, God, I used to know that dance.
No, you didn't. You never knew any
I
dance.
didn't do it well. I knew how to do it. Yeah. Nah, that's not that far off.
So, all right. Getting back, though, to this Retro Champ, yes, that makes sense.
I would say it's the right price. I'll say that's the strongest thing going for it. Like, the problem with all these clone consoles, for the most part, will be compatibility, will be how the sound is, and I really don't like the fact that it's a 16:9 looking screen.
Yeah, $80. If anyone is even semi-tech savvy, though, you could get the NES Classic. Could get a. I mean, obviously Retron 5 is more expensive, and it's not. And none of these things are handheld. Obviously, what I'm talking about. So I'm very curious to see. You know, the Switch itself, the battery life isn't outstanding. It's good.
I think it's said in here how long they think the battery is.
But that's.
I think they're claiming like 30 hours or some shit.
That's what I'm saying. I'm saying I don't trust that.
No.
So now, do you think they will jump ahead and do Super NES version of that?
If it sells, yeah.
Yeah, I mean for $80,
It's not a bad option for $80. I'll say it's not. You know, it's not for a purist out there.
Yeah,
obviously, but
it can't be. All I'm saying is it can't be made well, and those buttons look even worse than the Switch, which we've already talked about. We don't like. So,
yeah, I'm not crazy about the buttons on it.
Yeah. So if any of you guys ever heard of this or think it's a good idea or like are interested in something
it does
like
have
that,
the 4 separate like Switch-looking D-pad. Ugh. And the buttons look really high too. It's like almost Dreamcast pad.
It's gonna sit weird. So
that's gonna hoit. Well, it's gonna hoit.
So let us know what you think, guys. Goddamn Jim. Moving on to another console. Man, these console knockoffs that keep coming. Express.co.uk. Thank you for coughing, you son of a bitch.
I'm sorry. I can't help it.
Love these headlines. PS4, Xbox One, and Nintendo Switch facing shock new console rival. I don't like I'm terrible at English. Something about facing shock new console rival doesn't sound right to me.
It's not the best English.
Maybe facing shocking new console rival?
Might be a little English going on here.
It's from the UK.
Oh, well,
they're supposed to have invented English, Jim.
Yeah, they're...
All right, so anyway,
I had a teacher in high school who was like, our English, and he could be talking out his ass, obviously. He's like, our English is actually closer to the old English that when we left from Britain, because Britain's all insulated and they just butchered their own language more than we butchered it.
Was it Mr. Patterson?
No, it wasn't Mr. Patterson. It was Mr. Neyman.
Nah.
Good man.
So this apparent new console, once again, link is below. If you're watching the segment, you'll see the picture. The Mad Box.
I think there's been actually other version or designs of this since then. Let me look it up real quick.
So this is one of the first new consoles expected to be announced by Slightly Mad Studios. And apparently the big thing is you'll definitely be able to do 4K. If you have VR at 60 frames per second, it should be able to do it all. So it's what many other consoles have tried. Basically, let's put a really high-end computer into a console and run games off of it.
Yeah, I mean, like all the Steam machines failed when they came out a couple years ago.
What was that one that was supposed to be that was? I'm gonna call it Ouija. It's like
Ouya.
Ouya. How, like, I don't even know.
That just wound up being an Android-based system.
Okay.
The little box that was like, I believe it was like streaming-based. And basically, it just turned out to be a bunch of ports of like mobile games from Android.
Yeah.
It was supposed to be like a developer's dream, and then it just kind of flopped.
So here's the deal. For a console, the only way I think a console, regardless of specs, because we know plenty of people who are PC, PC's the best thing because of graphics, because of the way you can mod things. But if you take graphics out of there, the only thing that really keeps consoles most relevant is first-party titles. So if you create a console, you better come with something that the other systems don't have to even be considered. Because if you're only running third-party, then the people who...
Oh, like the Xbox?
Yeah. The people who compete against like Xbox and PS4 and Switch are PC gamers, and they're not going to give up their PC for this thing.
Oh, here's a more recent picture. This is like the actual reveal.
That's fucking ugly.
Yeah, we'll put a picture at the bottom. And we'll put another link in the description, too, so you can see the actual picture. But it looks like... Actually, our buddy Zotz, he thought it looked like an awful neon hat.
No, what it looks like to me is like something out of Joel Schumacher's Batman and Robin.
Yes. It looks like Gotham City, actually.
It fucking looks... It's just like neon. We love neon because we grew up in the 90s, but we're over it.
Yeah, well, see, one thing I hate about PC gaming is all the assholes have to put their flashy lights and shit like that inside there and line the outside with LCD lights and crap
Just don't
like
be
that.
Joe about that.
It's tacky.
But are you a little Joe? When you turn on your Xbox, if all of a sudden it glowed whatever you like pink, then you'd be like, oh boy.
I'd be magenta.
Of course. But I hear what you're saying. That looks...
to me, there's, at this point, just get to have a price point that can be remotely compatible or, to go against everything. I still don't think there's I'm probably wrong, but there's still not the tech out there to have 4K visuals with 60 frames a second and keeping it cheap.
So that's the thing. What I will say is that these guys from this company have basically stated that they think the industry has become a little bit too much of a monopoly or a micro oligopoly. I'm terrible at words.
Oligopoly.
Yeah, basically saying, which is stupid because there's three major competitors. So
one, I hate them already for making me say that word.
Yes, but my thing is they're stating that they should be certain that they could hit shelves before 2022.
Okay.
Don't you think by then, whatever you think you're going to do with this, PlayStation, Xbox, and Nintendo will finally come to, HD.
It's HD now.
I know, I'm fucking with you. But
the Wii U is HD.
They'll finally be up to what the 360 was by then. So my point is, PlayStation and Xbox by that point will be 4K. Will have VR at 60 FPS.
They'll be at least 4K. The freaking probably mid-range upgrade console will probably be 8K.
Yeah, so
that's already coming around.
So yeah, 2022. It's cool, dude. You better really bring something crazy. I'm not going to lie, I would love a console that could come and really compete. I think the only way you're going to do that is, once again, you bring us some crazy-ass first-party titles that we can't get on the other consoles. Or, you go some VR route that's mind-blowing. You can't even...
And even then, you're fighting against PlayStation VR.
Exactly. That's what I'm saying. You have to be, so out there. Think Black Mirror style shit. That's crazy. I know you don't watch it because it's not a cooking show. But my point is, I don't know. I think
Bandersnatch doesn't work on Chromecast, so yeah.
The rest of the show should, Jim.
Yeah, but then I gotta watch the show.
Yeah, because it's not cooking. I know.
I'm not that anymore. I watch.
So let us know what you think.
I watch Mickey Mouse Clubhouse. That's what I goddamn watch.
So I'm gonna put both links, Jim's link and the one I'm looking at currently. If you have any more information or any thoughts on this, let us know. I don't see a chance in hell that this is going to compete with the other systems.
Yeah, this is going to be You always say wait and see, but you got to prove something to actually make a dent like this.
Yeah, I'm not worried. I'm not. Yeah, no. So, all right. So here's a quick little topic. And Jim, I know you probably didn't download the Resident Evil 2 one-shot.
Nope.
And I know you probably didn't even watch videos
I did.
on it.
I did watch yours.
So, one thing I just like this throwback. So, PC players notice that if you put the Resident Evil 2 remake on its lowest settings, it actually looks like the PS1 game.
That's really cool.
It's debatable if it actually looks like PS1, and it's just very cloudy and muddy. And this comes to us from comicbook.com.
I mean, it's definitely janky and real pixelaty.
Yeah. So
it's got the harsh edges that the PS1 had with all of its theme models.
It looks like a bad FMV from there. Like
almost like a Sega CD FMV.
Yes. The problem is, like, yeah, for the aesthetic, that would be cool. I think that would actually, the biggest reason I put this on here.
I'm almost a little disappointed because the first time I looked at this article was on my phone. So, small screen. I was like, oh, this is the actual PS1 game.
Yeah.
So, that isn't the case, unfortunately. I thought that would have been way cooler if they just put the PS1 game as the lowest setting.
So, what I was going to say is, and a lot of games do this nowadays, if you had the setting for PS1.
Right.
So, a lot of games will be known to like change the graphics pretty drastically, but I can't even imagine what the coding would be.
Oh, like the sedimentation on the bottom. It was like streaking.
Oh. Oop. That's derp number 2, folks. Jim spilled on himself. So, yeah.
Look at the glass.
Oh, liquid doesn't pour.
God, I'm not going to live that one down.
No, of course not. This is why you need a goddamn bib.
I do need a bib.
I used to need a bib, Jim, and I grew up.
Well.
So, yeah, it's just a fun little article because I'm so obsessed with Resident Evil 2, and I did that one shot, and I'm going to get the game and everything. I was like, there's no way I can't post this. Plus, now Google, because I've like once or twice looked up once or twice looked up Resident Evil 2, Google now automatically only streams shit about Resident Evil 2 to my feed. Let us know if you would ever do that. I sure as shit wouldn't, but let us know.
You know what? I actually, like, now that I see that it isn't actually the PS1 game, there's no reason ever.
Plus, we would never be able to do it because we're consoles. So, there's that too.
Switch port when?
Let us know if you have a PC and if you're going to get PS or Resident Evil 2, if you would ever do that.
Yep. All
right, and now that we are moving on, we did just start pouring this Knee Deep Brewing Company Stout Hello, which I will say, it has a really nice hazelnut flavor.
Before we move on too much, too, what did you think of this?
Oh, yeah. So I've had that a couple times before. I hate to sound repetitive all the time. It's a solid double IPA. It's smoother. It's not quite as bitter as some other double IPAs.
It looked like orange juice when you poured it out.
Yeah, but it's good. It's not my favorite. I think my favorite is still Dirt Wolf or 90-minute IPA from Dogfish. But either way, it's really good. And if you're in PA especially, support the local guys. Try something new.
I've had so many goddamn IPAs at this point. I couldn't even tell you what my favorite IPA is.
Well, that doesn't shock me. But, all right. So, as we move on, Jim posted this one, and oddly enough, it's also from comicbook.com, link below. The noon, and many people have talked about this.
Yeah.
But, Jim, I'll let you kind of point it out.
We're late to the podcast party on this one, but so many hot take channels. But, yeah, long story short, hackers...
Hey, should our picture and our thing be... Yeah.
Big red arrow coming right here.
Look at this.
It's how you make the money these days. But so long story short, some hackers hacked I think it was the NES Online, like part of the Switch and shit like that. People hack the Switch all the time, and they saw like residual code in there for that could call out for Super NES that had like a Super NES file name in there.
Yes,
some kind of crap like that. Now, it could just be a placeholder kind of deal, or it could be something in the future that they're going to be adding on there. which a lot of people right now are pissed with Nintendo and the online service because of how slow they're releasing games onto the classic NES stuff and the fact that it's only NES games. So, to me, it just makes sense that they would eventually have that on there. And I think there's something else in there about, like, N64 and Game Boy. So I don't know if it's a thing where these could be things for classic systems eventually, which we've all been thinking about.
Yeah.
Or just more games coming to the classic online part.
So I kind of have the feeling, I wouldn't be shocked whatever scenario you just said. You're completely right. My thing is, I feel like most kids who grew up with N64 grew up with such a love of gaming that they were the same generation that helped revitalize getting NESs and Super NESs again. And you were like regretful if you were someone like me who got rid of his NES or Super NES. So I had to backpedal and get shit. Whereas I feel like the generations that did N64 and GameCube, like, you recognize, like, let me hold on to this shit. And I feel like the N64 is the best. It's kind of like the Glock of the video game world. Like, you can drop it, you can fuck about, and it's always going to work.
Or any of those old consoles, really.
But N64 especially, I feel like, is, like, really...
I put my N64 through my hell.
And that's what I'm saying. Like, and you've never... I mean, with the NES, you've obviously done videos and talked about clean the pins, all the typical fixes, some of those other consoles. Something about the N64 seems so hardy to me that, like, most people still have... It's a beefy boy.
Yeah. And it is a beef.
And I still see a lot of them when we go to swap meets or, shit, even some, like, used game stores.
No, yeah. Like, you still find them out there.
That's a system that's like, does it make sense to have a classic edition? That's my biggest point. And if you do, you better have 4-player. Because everyone knows that is the number one thing. Like, if you had to say, what's the number one thing that's great about N64? 4-player local.
Right. And, I mean, we talked months ago about, like, an older possible leak of an N64 Mini.
Yeah.
And, like, it's stuff we talked about before. It's got to have 4-player capability, obviously.
Yeah.
It's not going to have the rare games, which is going to be a big blow to it. But just get all the party games and shit like that on there.
And all the games that everyone really
like,
loves.
it's going to be all first-party games.
Yeah, and they're all still dirt cheap.
Hopefully some treasure games. Hopefully they can get some of them on there, but...
other than if you put whatever the rarest games are on there...
Well,
not meaning rare. I'm saying like the rarest, like most expensive.
People want like what Earthbound was for the Super NES Classic. They want Sin and Punishment to be for this one. Like that's the talk online.
I don't know. I to me that seems silly. I know me and you obviously bigger collector and you started at a young age.
I have Sin and Punishment. It's a good game.
I still have my N64.
Yeah.
Works fine.
Yeah, you're not a collector and you still have yours and it works.
And I have all my games for it. I never sold any. So it's like. I don't know. And GameCube even worse. Like that was a system, probably the second worst selling system.
For Nintendo, it's one of the worst.
So it's probably what, Wii U and then that? I'm not counting handhelds.
Well, Virtual Boy, Wii U, and then probably GameCube.
To me, Virtual Boy is basically handheld. Yeah. I know it's not. But yeah, GameCube.
For like a traditional console, the GameCube's probably last.
Now here's the deal. I'll tell you one reason why I would get the GameCube. I want Luigi's Mansion. I can't fucking... the prices for it are outrageous, and that's even if I find it.
And it's a super common game, too.
Which pisses me off. So,
Supply and demand.
That's the thing is, I would probably get GameCube before because...
Like, that's one of those games, like, for the GameCube. It's going to be up there with Wind Waker and fucking Pikmin.
Yeah.
And, well, not so much Mario Sunshine, but it's one of the games with GameCube that people, they don't get rid of.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Double Dash, they don't get rid of that. Smash, Melee, obviously.
Yeah, which is still the best one. Well, no, actually, no.
I'm liking Ultimate a lot.
I'll backtrack. Yeah, I'm willing to go on record. You can write it down. Ultimate's the best one.
Ultimate is definite fan service. Ultimate is the best one. Fuck it.
There's no point in arguing it. We're not in the fighting game community. We don't do a competitive.
I don't care about the split second counter block
it's
reversals in Melee.
But
whatever.
Melee is very clearly the second best one. Would you say?
I would say that.
So either way,
I'd even say N64 is third best. I didn't like the Wii U one at all, and not just because it was on the Wii U.
And I didn't play it, so I'll take your word. I think, though, the smart money would be that just have these games available on the Switch, which Nintendo, I feel like we bash it a little too much.
You bash it a little too much.
You're too scared to. That fence.
What am I scared of?
Because that fence is up that ass.
What fence am I on? What sponsorship am I risking fucking up here?
You're just like, oh, you can't say nothing.
What almost?
Because you know you have to defend your shitty Wii U.
What almost tens of dollars we're bringing in a month am I worried about losing here?
My point is, if you let me finish.
Insert sex joke there.
So, Nintendo, you have terrible online service.
Yep.
You don't offer enough, even with the Switch. You have great games for it. But you know what? Like Xbox and PlayStation for how long now have been offering backwards compatibility and also just with their online shit, streaming old versions of games. Even on the PS3, that's my new PS1 console for all intents.
Xbox Live on the original Xbox runs better than multiplayer games on the Switch.
Yeah, and this is the problem. Nintendo, you own it all. There's no debate. Like, your best games, you own it. Just fucking release them on the Switch. Like, unless you're waiting until that next... They kind of are, but they're not doing it for... This is my point. They're not doing it for N64 and GameCube.
Oh, with that thing, yeah.
And do it for all the way up to the Wii U. Like, just release it all. There's no excuse not to.
Yeah, I mean... People like people do love collectors love the NES, but the casual people who have been buying up Switches left and right, they don't care about old NES games. They don't care about Mighty Bomb Jack.
But for someone like me, when I haven't bought a system since a GameCube, and I was like, okay, the Switch has enough that I want. Just the portability was enough, but it has some great games, obviously. If you start telling me that with that online service, that even though it's dirt cheap, I'm not willing to buy for the NES or Super NES games because I've played enough of them. I'll emulate. I'll do whatever. I have Retrons. I can do shit. But if you tell me you get N64 and GameCube games like, bless you, like Luigi's Mansion, like some of these games that I love, and I could play Jim and whoop them in GoldenEye online, then I would easily...
First off,
I would easily say, you know what? I'm going to dump the $20. I'm going to do this. So, Nintendo, you love money. Put that shit out there.
Look, Brian, while you were busy in junior high getting hand jobs, I was busy being alone in my parents' basement playing GoldenEye, all right? Ain't no way I'm losing you in goddamn GoldenEye.
Jim.
I don't have a lot.
Jim.
I don't have a lot in this world, Brian.
Jim. I've whooped you in GoldenEye so many times. The only game here's two
shenanigans
games.
I call.
2 games I would probably say that I will admit that there's no chance I'm going to beat you in, and that's probably Mario Kart 64.
Yes.
And probably Street Fighter for Sega Genesis with a terrible 3-button controller. Those are 2 games I know there's no chance. I just don't play them. I don't care enough about them. I'm not going to beat you in them. Everything else, you're dead.
And GoldenEye.
Jim, you know when I play those games with you.
1v1 me in Star Fox 64.
If there's one adjective you would need to use for me, it's ham sandwich.
It's not an adjective.
Think about it.
It's not an adjective.
That's what I go.
It's bad English.
When you go ham sandwich, what happens?
We know you have bad English. You write these headline articles.
Jim, what's ham go for? What's it mean?
I'm not getting into this.
What does it mean?
I'm not.
Exactly. I win.
I'll take the L. Fine.
So let us know what you guys think, or if you've heard anything further about this N64 potential GameCube Classic console leak, or if it's on the Switch.
And what games would you want to see? Because obviously there's a shitload of... If you have all these consoles, give us like your top 3 games you would want to see from these leaks.
Yeah, and maybe next week we'll do that with our choices for GameCube, because we did for N64.
Oh, yeah, good point.
All right. So that kind of brings me to a topic I wrote up just off the top of my head. Maybe there's an actual answer, but when would you consider a console retro?
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Is this a...
This is a hot-button topic.
Is it? So the only reason I thought about it is everyone talks about the retro love for any... When I think retro now, I think NES, probably Super NES. I don't necessarily, in my mind, always go PS1 or whatever. But I'm like, okay, that console is 20-some years old. And is the Atari, like, ancient if all these other ones are retro? So then, going back to just PS2. That's old. Like, what should be, in your eyes, not in the community's eyes. And
Right.
you can tell me what you think.
Oh, there's no set thing in the gaming community.
But I'm also, because you're more in touch with them because you look more on Twitter. So first tell me, from what you've seen, and I'm sure it's all over the place, but what do you generally see as people think is considered retro?
I see it run the gamut where people, like some people will say at this point, go back a console generation. That's retro because what's current is current. What's before that is
So
retro.
like 360 would be
Right.
retro. Okay.
There's people who will say that. There's people who will say that the PS1 isn't retro yet. I disagree. I can't stop burping. I disagree there. Like for me, really, it comes down to personal preference. Whatever you think's retro.
Mm-hmm.
Like there's so much dick waving and little like on the internet about like someone will make a post about like, oh, look at my retro PlayStation 2, and someone will be like, well, fucking retro PlayStation 2 isn't retro, and then like they'll just be racial slurs and shit like that after that.
Of course.
So it'll just be back and forth. Like personally for me, I think the cutoff for retro is the Dreamcast. Like, I consider the Dreamcast retro, but, like, the PS2, I still don't. But it's also probably because, like, I was in my mid to late teens when the PS2 came out, so that was, like, the high time for... Now, technically, I would say the PS2, GameCube, that generation.
Yeah.
I'd still say that's retro. I couldn't go personally 360 yet, but that's just because I'm old, too. The 360 came out in 2005. That's almost 15 years ago now.
So... psychologically, I think the reason people would have such an issue with retro when you say that is like they don't want to feel. No one wants to feel old,
right?
Like, you don't want to be like, oh shit, yeah, I was playing PS2 in high school, and you don't want to say that because you don't want to feel that old. Honestly, I'm gonna use a very weird.
Or it's also a thing where like you don't want to feel like your favorite kind of era of gaming's irrelevant or shit like that.
Yes, time passes all by and it sucks, but that's what happens. I'm going to use a very weird metric that I know a lot of people hate. But to me, if major video game stores, such as GameStop, if they're not selling your games anymore, because some of them still sell 360, anything past that is retro.
Yeah, I mean, there's...
Now, I know they have their retro section.
Well, yeah, online they do, yeah.
Well, they have them in stores.
No,
that's where
not anymore. Well,
the one I just went to 2 weeks ago.
Does it? Which one?
The one at...
what, by the Giant?
Yeah.
That has one?
The one on Street, yeah.
I'll have to check that out. Then.
So...
because there's the one up... no one's going to care about this right now.
No.
Move on.
But yeah, so my thing is like that, and if any major stores, if you're not carrying it in store, then it's probably retro. Maybe that's a weird metric to use.
It's actually not a bad one, though.
It doesn't hurt. To me, when I think PS2, in my mind, I do struggle to say that's retro, but I can understand it. I think at a minimum...
the PS2 is a special case because it was officially supported until 2013.
And the longevity of that is so...
Like, the GameCube died in, like, what, 06? But, like, the PS2 went way longer.
So, I'd say at a minimum, anything before PS2 era. So, I'll even leave Xbox and GameCube in there with it.
Okay.
Is easily retro.
Right.
Anything after, I think that PS2, Xbox, GameCube, you could debate it.
Yeah, like the beginning of this console generation, I was like, Dreamcast is the cutoff. But now I'm like, well, it might be time to move that up a little bit just because of 6 years later now.
So, this was just another drinking one night, random thought coming to my head.
This is a good drunk argument.
Yeah, I want to hear you guys talk. Because, Jim and I seem to be pretty much on the same page. I want to hear someone really fight and say, no, retro is yada yada. Because, honestly, the way I look at it...
This will be one of those podcast clips that we put up there, and we get way more replies than views.
Yes. So it's like one of those weird things where, inherently, when I hear the word retro, I think NES, Super NES, Sega Genesis. But when I think like Atari, like I said, I would say that's like the ancient. Like... I don't even consider that retro anymore. It's like so old. So let us know what you think below. Defend it, fight it. Tell us what generation you think is the cutoff for era. Is it a year? Is it like 10 or 15 years it has to be gone? Whatever the case, let us know what you think. All right. So the next one, it's another very random. Jim and I had to look this up a few times.
Which turns out to be a way older story than we knew about.
So Mario Kart is coming to mobile phones
Woo!
in an app called Mario Kart Tour. And
that got announced in January of 2018, and we just discovered this.
This is one of those, I was on my Google, it's like Mario Kart coming to mobile. I click on it, and I put it in here just because I saw it. It's another Kotaku, but it's also on a few other links. This was reported in January 2018, but the game still hasn't come out, and a lot of people are now putting out videos and still talking about it. Things are getting leaked. I just generally want to say, with them releasing a Mario game, the Run game.
Right.
So you're definitely going to have some crazy watered-down version of Mario Kart.
Yeah.
But here's the deal. Once again, Nintendo, I know they love to hold on to their licenses as tight as they can, but could you imagine how friggin' big of a seller? I mean, Mario Run was a big seller, but if they did the actual legit Mario Kart on your phone, holy shit, how much would that sell?
Oh, yeah. Sell like hotcakes.
So I still don't get, why don't they do it?
I mean, they announced it, like we said, in January of 2018. It's mid-January of 2019 right now, and there's still no real release date for it.
Yeah.
So, and the fact that I haven't heard about this, and I'm kind of in with it, with these kind of news shits, that surprises me that I'd never heard of it. So,
yeah.
It's either something they're having a lot of development trouble with, or they're just really going to keep it hush-hush until they have maybe a little bit of a downtime with the Switch or something.
Yeah. I don't know. I think it's a good idea. I tried Mario Run, got tired of it after a week, to be honest.
I played it a tiny bit, yeah. I didn't pay the $10 to have the whole game.
But I would gladly pay a lot. Not a lot. I would pay maybe $5. If it's if Mario Kart was the legit, even if you take it back a few generations, not the most recent, I would definitely get it.
Yeah, I haven't played it. Sorry.
Yawning, sneezing.
I am in top professional form tonight. But yeah, I haven't played enough racing games on mobile phones to really know how they tend to translate.
Yeah.
The few I've played have just been gas, boost at the right time, stuff like that.
Yeah.
So if they made something remotely close to an actual game of Mario Kart, it would sell really well. If it's another game that's another popular genre that they just slap a Mario Kart faceplate onto, meh.
Ain't gonna hurt Nintendo or Mario or any of that shit
sales.
So it's it's always a win-win. Just do it to phones, as we talked about with Diablo.
Freaking Pokemon Go carried them for a whole year during the dregs of the Wii U.
I feel like Pokemon Go was the bankroll for the Switch. I feel what else did they have going on? Splatoon? Was that it? Fucking Splatoon?
Mario Maker, but yeah, I know what you mean. It was definitely their most successful thing during the Wii U era.
Yeah. So.
Which is sad.
Yeah, but only silly people bought the Wii U.
Even sillier people bought it when the Switch came out.
Even sillier people bought it secondhand at a terrible price. After I choke on it.
I'm choking on rage.
So let us know, have you heard anything more than we have? What do you guys think about that? So the next topic, this ties in with, everything we kind of talking about with Nintendo. Another drunk thought, just drunk ramblings of Brian, I'll call it if you want. So I was thinking about Smash Brothers and how unique that was of a game, and the fact that it brought all these first-party characters together, and even now they're pulling, people from so many things. They finally got my goddamn Simon in there.
Right.
Disney, being as friggin' huge as they are, now that they own Star Wars, Marvel, and just their general Disney, who I don't even know what else they own, but just those three alone.
Yeah.
If they were to create even a clone of Smash or PlayStation Battle Stars, which is a clone of Smash,
right,
or even a version of fighting game called Marvel vs. Capcom, how much do you think it would be bigger than Smash?
It really has. It's got to really hit it out of the park, because the perfect example to compare it to is PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale,
sure,
which you can buy right now for $4.
Yeah.
And it's not a bad game at all.
It's actually really fun.
It's good. It's fun. It's good.
But here's the deal, and I bought that. I played a lot of it. I will say, though, still, even with that game, it was really cool. Like, yeah, Kratos and some of these,
and Sweet Tooth and Parappa and shit like that.
But those characters aren't as iconic as the Nintendo characters. And I obviously love PlayStation more than Nintendo, but it
didn't have like Crash or Spyro in it too, did it?
Which was weird, yeah.
Yeah.
But that's my point. I think when you think iconic, so you got Nintendo characters for video games, but man, the Disney, Star Wars, and Marvel iconic characters, I think they weigh just as even, if not a lot more than.
Yeah, like if you have Mickey fighting Luke Skywalker fighting Wolverine,
that's gonna be some shit to sell.
Right.
So that's
that beats Sackboy fighting Parappa fighting Kratos.
Yeah. And
there's been like other clone games like this before. Like I know there's some Japan exclusive one that has like just stuff from everywhere. Like you can have Simon Belmont fighting Optimus Prime. It's almost like a Mugen, but like actually like really developed.
Yeah, but even Mugen, I mean, and this is I brought this
and
up
Mugen's one-on-one, but that's different.
And I know Mugen, like I have that, and I downloaded ridiculous, like WWE people, Disney people, like everything, and that's the beauty of that game. What I'm saying, like, Disney had that. What was that game that like you bought the figures like when that was a.
Disney made their own Skylanders, Disney Infinity. And it failed.
Yeah, I think it failed more because you had to buy the figures.
Well, that's the same thing I had to do with all these other ones.
I don't know anything about the game, but we've talked about Kingdom Hearts, so that's a good example of like Disney characters coming together.
Right.
But now they own these other things. I don't know. I thought out loud. I was like, man, if they fucking went in and did a fighting game series, I think I kind of feel like, and assuming it was good, like obviously if the gameplay was friggin' awful. But if you copy the kind of idea of Smash, and like Jim said, you had Mickey and Donald Duck fighting Luke Skywalker, fighting Captain America, fighting Spider-Man. Holy shit.
Right.
Like, you ain't even going to be able to come close to competing. So.
It's just a thing that it really has to. I don't want to say it has to appeal to the hardcore fighting fan community because it's not like Smash appeals to just the fighting fan community.
Yeah, Smash brought a lot of people who don't like fighting fan. Like, you could just like Mario. Like,
I think it would have a better chance than PlayStation had.
Oh, for sure.
Just because of the power of the characters.
Now here's my tangent off of that.
All right.
So Disney, arguably, let's say one of the biggest entertainment companies in the world.
Say the least.
I'm not sitting here looking at their stock holdings or what they're worth.
Friggin' Verizon's actually losing Disney-owned channels now.
Yeah.
So they're losing ABC and ESPN because Verizon doesn't want to pay Disney for the jacked up rates.
And I'm also one of these people that are very pissed that all the Marvel series that are on Netflix are being canceled because Disney is starting its own streaming service to compete against Netflix. So Netflix went out, got Star Wars, got a bunch of Marvel movies. Eventually, that shit might go away and only be on Disney streaming services. So now you got Hulu, you got Netflix, you got Shudder. You got a million different streaming services. So now this will be another one that if you have kids, they want to watch Disney movies. Guess what? You might have to get another one.
Man, like I can't watch any Star Trek series because it's on CBS's friggin' streaming thing.
So. Here's my point with all that. Would you be all in for if Disney was like, you know what, we're going to buy Nintendo? I don't know if they have the money to do that. I assume they're a lot bigger than Nintendo.
Yeah.
But, man, if they went in, and then could you imagine the mix between Nintendo and Disney characters?
Jesus.
Like, I'm saying, would that excite you? Or because you know how some people... when they heard Disney bought Star Wars and with the last one, oh, it's Star Wars, but it feels like a Disney movie. Like people bitching like they always do. Would you feel like you'd be against...
people are dumb because people like Force Awakens and Force Awakens sucks. Last Jedi tried at least something new.
All I'm saying
Give me your hate. Feed me your hate.
Jim, here's the deal. I may agree with you on a lot of your points of that, but don't use the goddamn dialogue, because you go back to the first Star Wars. There was never good dialogue in Star Wars.
I'm not talking about the dialogue. I'm just saying Force Awakens was it was a lazy remake.
Well, yeah, but I'm just saying. Like,
that's my bitch about it.
Just calm your tits.
These tits will not be calmed.
But I'm saying, would you be all in if Disney was like, you know what, we're buying Nintendo?
I mean, it's not like I'd be all in, but I wouldn't be pissed about it.
I mean, you wouldn't.
The people are like, "Oh, Nintendo's ruined now." It's probably not.
I mean, if they still ran as their own thing, but now they could have licensed Disney shit on top of it, you wouldn't be all for it?
Yeah, I mean, like people say, no, it would be cool.
Yeah.
Like people say Disney killed Star Wars, and it's like Star Wars has sucked since Jedi. So it hasn't been Disney that's been killing Star Wars.
But we agree that the third one is actually good.
Oh, I do like Revenge of the Sith.
That's damn good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, either way, guys, once again, this was a random Brian drunk rambling. I typed it in. You let us know what you think about this topic. 1, if you think a Disney clone would be bigger in Smash. And 2, would you be for if Disney would actually buy Nintendo? Not saying it would happen, but let's see. All right, so before we move on to our next topic, we just finished the Knee Deep Brewing Stout Tello, and what'd you think?
It was good. I really don't have that much to say about it. Like, you can definitely feel the, what do you say it was in it, like nutmeg or?
Hazelnut.
Hazelnut, yeah. Mm-hmm. Like, it definitely tasted like how stouts always kind of have that little bit of the coffee taste to it. It tasted like a little bit like hazelnut coffee, but in stouty beer form.
One of the things, and this is because it is hazelnut.
And it really wasn't that bitter either. Like, it was really smooth drinking.
Nah, stouts are always pretty smooth. I mean, for 6%, that's one of the lowest percentage alcohols for stouts.
That is low, yeah.
But I would say this is pretty damn close to tasting like Nutella in beer form, which is Nutella's hazelnut spread, so it makes sense. Most stouts, you really get a lot of coffee, a lot more chocolate. And you had almost zero coffee in this one, mostly chocolate. But yeah, the hazelnut comes through a lot. So like I said, that's why it reminds me so much of Nutella.
I can see that. It was probably because I'm sick right now. It doesn't help. But I still got those like little bits of those flavors. So I can't smell with the shit right now anyway. So I couldn't tell you what the aroma was. But
so yeah.
Not optimal beer review. But
it's pretty damn good. This company is out of California, so if you're around there or you're in PA, obviously you can find it. Just try it out. Like I've said with games, I have a shit ton of backlog. I have the same thing with beers. I have a lot of random beers I get throughout the year. I save it for either I'm going to do a review or this or that. So still from October, probably September, I have Rosemary's Baby. This is something I've drank many times. I actually really like it. It's a pumpkin beer. It's an ale brewed with pumpkin and spices, aged in rum barrels with vanilla beans. Comes in at 6.8%, so pretty goddamn solid. It's one that I really like because it's a little bit more unique than most pumpkin beers. What I figured, it's about time to finish this guy off.
All right.
All right, while Jim pours that, let's go on. Recurring bits. Which is better? This one, little twist. In the past, we've done which is better of themes, which is better of games, which is better at consoles. But this one, you can almost call who is better. And I say that because I want to be very clear. I put up Samus or Megaman. And when I say that, I'm not talking about the games. So right off the bat, don't come back and say, well, Metroid, Super Metroid's best game ever, or Mega Man 2. Not talking about the games. Don't give a shit about the games. Just the characters. You can pull them from any game you want. Could be Smash. Could be their actual series. Doesn't matter. So I thought about this for the very simple reason of playing Smash. And I was playing as Samus. And it put me against Mega Man. I was like, they both have arm blasters. That's kind of cool. Very simple-minded. But I was like, Mega Man obviously with Capcom, Samus with Konami.
They're both running good platformers.
Damn it, Jim. So, I'll let you go first on who you think is better. But yeah, I just thought this was a more fair matchup.
Yeah, that's an interesting one. So, first question for you. Are we considering classic Mega Man? Are we talking about X? Are we talking about Battle Network? There's so many
just
different universes.
We're not doing this. This isn't DC. This isn't a shitty Flash. This is
easy.
When you play Smash Brothers, you play as Mega Man. They don't say Mega Man X. Just Mega Man.
Fine, we'll say classic then.
Yes.
See, a problem with classic Mega Man is there isn't that much story outside of, oh, hey, here's Rock. He has to, activate him, turn him, fight him against Dr. Wily. So, but he's not like, if you have to knock him, and I'm not a big, actually, I've not played that many of either of these series. So, like, I've played, God damn it.
Shocker.
I've played through
You haven't played great games.
I've played through all of Metroid and Super Metroid.
Too busy playing pinball. Yeah. What?
I played a little bit of Metroid Prime. I was like, yeah. So, but with Mega Man, I've dabbled in a lot of them. I'm not very good at them or have the patience for them at this point in my life. So,
not good at games.
Whatever. I don't care. I'm too old to be good at games. So,
no, you just suck. You weren't young and good at games.
I was damn good.
Just because you beat all the bots in Mario Kart didn't make you good.
Sir. I got every medal in goddamn Star Wars Rogue Squadron on gold.
Oh, good. The game made for 8-year-olds. Good job.
Oh, how dare you. But, yeah, so going back to it, like, I guess overall the more developed character easily is Samus. So I'd go with Samus just because outside of what they did to her from what I've seen in Metroid Other M, she's always been that, like, kind of silent, badass protagonist. Like, going back to Planet Zebes to save the baby Metroid and Super Metroid, crap like that. Always be the one to take on, like, entire races of, like, space pirates and crap. So, I mean, instead of just falling for the same tricks over and over again like stupid Mega Man does, dumb robot with no brain can't figure out, oh, I can probably lock up Dr. Wily. No, let him go. Let's let him go every single goddamn time.
Wasn't that... I know Capcom isn't a Nintendo first party, but what I'm saying is, isn't that like most Nintendo characters?
I'm just saying, when it comes down to efficiency of character, I would say Samus probably gets it, even if she was like some random guy's bitch in Other M. So whatever.
That's not.
I don't really care.
That's not important. I guess we agree on this one. I went Samus. One, like you said, story. Two, Mega Man's just a little kid in a robot suit at the end of the day, which is always kind of weird to begin with. And let's face it, the people he's going against don't sound intimidating. Hard Man, Rock Man, Metal Man. Like, not saying his games aren't hard and what he had to go through, but like it's like, oh, it's a screw bouncing around. Whereas she has these things that are gonna suck your brains out and attach to you, or you fall in lava. Like, I feel like she had much significant
fighting giant brains, and not just yellow demons.
Fucking Ridley. Like, I just look at, like, her level of competition is much higher. Him, you got to beat these robots to get their powers, and let's just be honest, I'd say 80% of the powers you get are pretty stupid. I know a lot of them, like, they're built to beat someone specifically, but I always go back to Mega Man 2. Once you get Metal Man's thing, you're done.
Right.
Like, that's all you need. Whereas her suit's pretty badass, and the powers you get up are all really useful and pretty goddamn cool. From the screw attack, from the mine, from the freeze beam, the rocket, it doesn't matter. The charge shot, it just doesn't matter. And then, the fact that she debatably was the first, like, significant female protagonist in a game. And that still leaves me as a shock. Like, when I be as a kid, I'm like, holy shit, that was a girl? Like, that's awesome. I didn't know.
I was like, my God, titties.
Damn it, Jim. Just because you beat off the Samus doesn't mean you need to do that.
Not a lot of having beat off to. Let's be honest here.
And, of course, I'm going to use my selfish bias in the fact that that's one of my favorite characters in Smash. Just to piss people off.
Yeah,
especially Gun. Even though I wouldn't beat him, if I just hit him once with a charge shot, I'd be like, I won. I'm done.
Motherfucker. Screw attack.
So, I don't know. So, with all that being said, to me, it's very clear cut. When you're not just talking about the games, the characters themselves, I'd be shocked if anyone really picked Mega Man over Samus.
Yeah, Classic Mega Man doesn't really have personality. Not so much his fault because of the games that came out in.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, to be fair, I didn't play, like, Mega Man 8 or 7, like the ones that came out in the PS1 era, crap like that.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I know that they're kind of goofy-ish games, but he has an annoying voice in them, so.
So what you're saying is the right answer is Samus.
Yes, the right answer is Samus.
So let us know what you think below. We know a lot of people probably love the Mega Man games more than the Metroid games, but talking just about characters here.
Roxlane.
Explain why Mega Man's better. That's all I want to hear. All right. So keeping on with our bits, overrated, underrated. It's becoming more of a hot topic, Jim.
Yeah?
I think people are liking
Some success lately.
We're liking the, and I want to be very clear about overrated, underrated. I'm always going to say this at the beginning of each video. In the past, we would do it cold. We might end up agreeing. Most of the time, we did agreeing. So this is why we kind of said one of us is going to be overrated, one of us is going to be underrated. And it's not even necessarily our actual opinions. It's like being in a friggin' debate club. You're doing it to just throw an opposing point. So don't think if one of us is overrated, in this case Jim is, and I'm underrated, that's necessarily our true feeling.
All right.
So the topic this time is Marvel vs. Capcom, the series. So, Jim, you are overrated.
Right.
And you are going to go first.
All right.
And before you lose, I just want to say good luck.
Thank you.
There's a Denny's around the corner.
God damn it.
Did you like that picture of the Grand Slam I sent you?
I hate you.
It's delicious.
I hate you.
I hate you. I know you might not be able to track those points on your diet, but come on.
I could track a Grand Slam. That'd probably be a full day right there. But that being said,
go ahead.
So, Marvel vs. Capcom series. Right, if I was to ask you a question about games that are, for the most part, that are fighting games, what's one thing that you think is really important you should probably nail in them for the overall enjoyment of the community? Of casuals, of experts, in between, anything like that.
I think you have a couple answers there, Jim, but my guess would be controller characters.
No. The most important thing is balance. Balance with the characters. Being able to pick any character you want, have a chance of learning them, and not have one character go in there and just fuck everyone's days up and ruin it for everyone. Games where you don't have to say no odd job. Or, in this case, you have to say you're playing Marvel vs. Capcom 2, you got to be like, all right, no cable, for fuck's sake. And you have these characters. It's always been a completely imbalanced system. And if you want to just get down to brass tacks, the engine's been a little bit lazy between 1 and 2. Sure, maybe it looked a little bit better, but throw some more characters in there. Whoopee. Throw the number of teammates on there. Oh, you added one more. Great. There's some innovation for you. And let's not even get into Marvel vs. Capcom 3, which is just a mess of graphics, and you can't even see what's going on. So if you like motion sickness and being confused all the time.
Could we just make the record clear and write this down? That part of the reason why you hate that game is because I whooped you so badly in every single match that you just claimed it was because of the game, and it couldn't have possibly been that I was just whooping that ass.
No. It was because I was using an arcade controller, which I never use.
I gave you the regular one after you bitched about it. And then I still whooped you and you said, well, fuck this game, it's stupid.
There's no whooping.
I think that's one game I actually, from my old hard drive, still have the footage, Jim. You want me to upload it?
Yeah, dig it up. I probably did lose, because it's a shit game. If it was a good game, I would put the time in to actually get good at it. But you can pick up a game and play and go, this isn't that good. And with Marvel vs. Capcom 3, how many revisions did they need of it? Typical Capcom bullcrap where you needed 17 revisions before you got it something that's relatively decent.
You mean like Street Fighter?
Yeah, in a way you could say like Street Fighter.
Okay. I just want to be clear that you're saying it. All the things you're saying could apply directly to Street Fighter.
But there's a difference there with Street Fighter because...
Is there?
Very much so. Because when Street Fighter 2 first came out, we were talking about the Stone Ages here. We're talking about the early 90s. So, of course, and with different arcade machines, you're going to have different arcade revisions. And, of course, you're going to want ports of that. You're not going to want to play this bland old 8-character Street Fighter 2 on the Super NES, and then you see Championship Edition and not go, why can't I play with the boss characters? So, of course, they would release them again and again. But we didn't have an arcade scene for the later Marvel vs. Capcom games.
There was a arcade out there.
No. But we needed 17 versions of it because the game wasn't that good. And that's not even going into the complete mess that is Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. So you're talking about a series that maybe peaked back in 2001 based off that love of just, oh, this was so fun back before games were good. So you had to go into it just going, okay, it's a game you love more for the fan service, and people like to trick themselves into thinking that it's an actually good fighting game. Which at the end of the day, it's not. It's like saying Smash is a really good one-on-one fighting game. Or 2-on-2, or whatever the fuck you want to know. It's like saying, you can say a lot of things, really. But at the end of the day, you know deep down in your heart, it's not that good a game. It's carried by its fan service. It's, a lot of times, very lazy. And to be honest with you, it was really never that great in the first place. You could go back to the original games like Street Fighter vs. X-Men or Marvel Superheroes, where there's actual innovation put into it, and go, oh, here's a game they actually tried with. Marvel vs. Capcom, they're just like, oh, we have licenses. We'll pull all the licenses together. Hooray! Everyone loved us! So those are my main points.
Okay. So, since I'm doing Underrated, few things I'd like to point out about Jim's argument. I just want to make sure the record's clear. This is from Jim's mouth himself. I'm not interpreting. But for one, so he said, Street Fighter 2 was good when games were no good. So basically saying games before that, like Street Fighter 2, a lot of those fighting games were terrible before then.
Very fault. It was before you had a development cycle to really learn what it done.
So he just admitted that. So he admits, in some degree, that this game, at its second release, that's fair to say, that was a good game. And that ones since then have been terrible. So you kind of said that already, right? So what I will say is, while this may not have been the engine that developed, off of the very first game, Marvel vs. Capcom, it was inspired by X-Men Children of Atom or something. I'm sure I'm butchering that. But either way, I know there was an X-Men game that was similar, but then Marvel vs. Capcom came along. Just the sheer idea, Jim. When you were a kid, you said what's important. I said characters and control. You said you're bullshit. So my question is, when you were a kid...
I said what was important for a fighting game.
Didn't you always think, man, wouldn't it be awesome if I saw X fighting Y? Two completely different things fighting each other. I mean, shit. You like Smash, right?
Yeah.
Everyone likes Smash, but what makes Smash so good? It's not just the fact that you can play as Mario. You can play as Donkey Kong, as Link, as Pikachu, as other shitty characters.
One, who says it is Donkey Kong?
I do.
Well.
So my point is, it's awesome when you can bring them all together. And listen, folks, I may be many things. I'm not a timeline expert.
You are a lot of things.
But here's my question. Marvel vs. Capcom 1, did it potentially come out before Smash Brothers?
I believe so.
So would you say that was the first game to really intermingle characters like that? Putting aside SNK games that did like King of Fighters and stuff like that.
Yeah, King of Fighters was doing it for years before then.
So my point is, on an even more major scale, we know in fighting game, in that world...
Or you had like Fighting Vipers on the Saturn, which combined a bunch of different stuff.
Nobody cared about, because nobody had a Saturn and nobody gave a shit about. So my point is, let's stay the shit people care about, not the 12 of us out there who had a Saturn.
I don't have a Saturn. I never had a Saturn.
Exactly. So we could say this was groundbreaking to bring two franchises so iconic, like Marvel and motherfucking Capcom, and make them fight each other. So just put that aside. But we know that's up there. All right, so groundbreaking. So the fighting engine. We've already established on this channel, between us, between our fans, Mortal Kombat's the best fighting game series ever. That's undeniable, undebatable. It's done. So in the 90s, shit, even going into 2000s, when you think fighting games, you might have maybe threw Tekken in there, maybe Soul Calibur, but you only thought Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter. Then comes along this game, Marvel vs. Capcom. And sure, the first one might not have been great, but the second one, holy shit. You talk about a game that number one sold consoles. What was the number one most requested game for the Dreamcast, Jim? Look it up on your phone.
Sonic Adventure?
No. Look it up on your phone.
Typing of the Dead?
I'm not even going to tell you. It's fucking Marvel vs. Capcom 2. And what holds its value like a motherfucker? Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Definitely does.
And what's undoubtedly, and we might have done a certain bracket, that was a single reason probably why that series came as number 3 behind Mortal Kombat and Street Fighter, Marvel vs. Capcom. The controls were goddamn really good. I sucked as shit at combos, and I would get my ass whooped, but I would still want to play because I'd want to play as all the characters. You had tag team mode, which you really didn't see in video games that often or done as well. You had multi-combo tag moves. The shit was innovative as hell. Sure, you had Street Fighter with its bullshit controls and its million releases, but it's funny you would make fun of the releases of Capcom, and yet you still love Street Fighter so much. So in essence, you're saying you hate Street Fighter as much as you hate Marvel vs. Capcom. And you talk about unbalanced characters.
Pretty sure I gave my reasoning for that.
And you talk about unbalanced characters. I can't think of a single fighting game on the first game release, maybe other than Mortal Kombat, that didn't have bullshit unbalanced characters. When you play Street Fighter 2, if someone's Ryu or Ken, shit's bullshit. And then when they learn a little more, they're Chun-Li or E Honda, shit's bullshit. Nobody's picking up Zangief for the first time until you learn. And sure, he's pretty good. But let's face it, you're not playing as fucking Zangief, are you? Nope. So my point is, you can't sit there and the flaws of every single fighting game before laid upon this groundbreaking game, which is Marvel vs. Capcom 2.
Well, before you go on, Brian,
Go
on that point. When it comes down to the actual fighting engine, Marvel vs. Capcom is really just Street Fighter's fighting engine simplified.
You mean
Don't you think?
Yeah, made better.
Simplified.
I mean, to that point, I don't think Street Fighter had some of those crazy combos, tag systems. It wasn't flowing as fast, and it wasn't moving as good.
I don't know. You put Turbo all the way up to like 8
And
stars.
I just
speed.
don't remember
fast.
that game having Jill Valentine with zombies coming at you.
Yeah.
Do you
no
remember
one liked
that?
playing as
Or-
Jill. In a game no one liked anyway.
No one like Resident Evil? Are you going to try and throw that out there?
No, I'm talking about
are you throwing that out there?
MVC 3.
I'm talking about 2. We're still on 2. Why don't you get your goddamn facts straight?
What my point was going to be is that since it's a dumbed down version of a game that's been out and has been uber successful for at least a decade before then,
And after
it would have
2
been quite back a decade.
And let's put this.
And even to your point about the multiple revisions, don't you think after those multiple revisions they would have learned a thing or two? Don't you think you should have expected better by the time it came out?
Jim, without pulling up the numbers, take out whatever the highest selling Street Fighter 2 is. I bet you Marvel vs. Capcom 2 is the highest. Every other Street Fighter game has dropped off significantly. So my point is, Marvel vs. Capcom 2,
Street Fighter 4 is pretty much
Street is bleh. It might be
game.
played a lot, but are you gonna say it's better than 2?
I personally like 2 more.
Well, there you go. I just won.
I just never had the time for it.
So my point is,
But the people who actually keep up and care about it.
You got this groundbreaking series that's really well established in 2. And then 3 comes out. I like 3. I whooped your ass in 3. You couldn't even try and pick up a controller in 3. You didn't know what you were doing. So either way, Infinite, I can't speak to. I'll be honest. I haven't played it. But, honestly, a series, even if...
Infinite, a game so bad it got Marvel vs. Capcom kicked out of EVO events.
And I believe that. But here's the deal.
Dragon Ball. It got kicked out for Dragon Ball.
Yeah,
it's that bad.
And no one likes Dragon Ball.
Sir, please. Sir.
Nerds like Dragon Ball. So my point is, a series that was a legit competitor taking out Tekken to the 2 monopolies that were fighting games, and it really was a reason to buy the Dreamcast. It was a reason to go play a different arcade game, and has its own setup. There's no doubt that it's underrated, Jim. And let's face it, when else can you play as Spider-Man versus Jill Valentine?
Bri, how can the game possibly be is underrated when the collective masses suck at stick so much? There's no underration there.
Because you don't need to use stick. We've already been over this. I won that one too. Stick sucks.
No, I said suck its dick, not stick.
Oh, it sounded like you said stick. Because you got that dick in your mouth.
God, I hate you.
Now, Jim, you're counting calories, right? Now, with the Grand Slam, can you have some ketchup? Can you have some coffee? I need to know these things because...
At this point, the calories aren't a concern.
So my point is, I'm just going to end it with this. You know I'm right. You know Marvel vs. Capcom 2 alone. Even 1 was good, but 2 was damn near perfect. 3, even if it fell off a little bit, it's damn good, but you just sucked at it. Infinite, I can even write that off. Say a quarter of the whole series sucks. Still goddamn underrated series, Jim. And you're welcome for giving you that history lesson.
My God. My God.
So, folks, let us know what you think below. I will admit, part of the reason why I put Jim as overrated, because I know he actually likes the series more than me.
I fucking love Marvel vs. Capcom 2 so much.
I think in the future...
I had to dig into all my goddamn, all the known flaws of it.
So I think in the future, and honestly, I probably would go more overrated than Jim. I purposely picked our opposites for this one.
It makes it a better argument.
Yeah. So I think in the future, we're going to keep doing that just because it's going to be fun to argue against the thing you love so much. Like, Jim loved Marvel vs. Capcom way more than me, but it's still fun to do. So let us know what you think.
I still actually don't like 3 that much, but I do, 1 and 2, oh my God.
Yeah. So let us know what you think. Yeah, do you think it's underrated, overrated? And, I mean, damn, how many times am I going to prove I'm better debater than you, Jim?
Sir, please.
Only people who lose debates blow their nose.
Shit. Dude.
Dude. So let us know what you think below, guys.
All right, before we move on.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have to say much. I love that beer. It has that spice from the rum that sets it apart from other pumpkin spice beers. So if you're someone who's too tired of nutmeg and vanilla and all the typicals, you want something with a little spice to it, that's a solid choice.
Yeah, I mean, it was definitely had a good mouthfeel, was easy to drink. Probably, once again, goddamn cold doesn't help with all that. But I could definitely get a good pumpkin spice flavor out of it without it being... I mean, in my case, it wasn't overpowering, but
yeah,
that could be a thing where my situation. But it definitely had a lot of flavor to it without being oh my God, my foot. So, what?
That voice. Don't tell me what. Don't make me call you.
What?
Don't make me call you the name.
God.
Don't make me put a poll up to see if people agree. Yeah, exactly.
It was a good beer. It was a solid beer.
All right. So moving on. We only have 2 topics left. But the first one, this came out yesterday or the day before. The MK11 reveal gameplay. It's not a trailer. It's gameplay and fatalities. Was
a couple characters. Yeah, we're recording this on the 18th of January.
Yeah, so I'm pretty sure it was yesterday or the day before. Essentially, it showed a lot of the gameplay. It showed Baraka, Scarlet, that new guy who I'm already forgetting his name because he's already Geras or whatever.
Of course, goddamn Striker's in the friggin' video.
Well, it just showed, and then
luckily it was him getting killed.
Cassie Cage, it showed.
We still, to this day, 3 years later at least, still get comments on the best Street Fighter and worst Street Fighter characters list about goddamn
you mean
Striker.
Mortal Kombat, not Street Fighter.
I have Street Fighter on the brain right now for that debate.
So what I was going to bring that up during this. So it's funny because, 2 or 3 years ago, we decided we're going to do every Mortal Kombat game. We're going to do top 10s on all of it. Kind of like what we're doing right now with the Resident Evil. We're not going quite as crazy. We did it all compacted into a month where it was all 10 games at the time, plus top 10s for best fighters, worst fighters, best fatalities, and best... There was one other. I think best, most iconic
stage fatalities.
Moves. Or, stage fatalities. Still to this day, every time there's something out in the news about Mortal Kombat, I guess it links to our videos. We still get
Helps
people.
us.
It still gets people though. Like, how can you say like Striker's a terrible character? Like somebody's like, there's the opinions on Mortal Kombat are definitely the strongest. That and probably baseball games on the NES. Those are two things we get. That and Jim's whole fuck up on the Simpsons games, which screwed our list royally.
Hey, put Itchy and Scratchy number 2. We're unique.
Yeah. So either way, with this MK11 reveal, we're clearly huge fans. When it comes out, we're going to get it. We're going to review it just because we already did the other MK games. In general, there was nothing for me, like, you know, showing Baraka, I was happy about because I'm like, cool, you brought him back. The fatalities, of course.
Brutal.
Super brutal. And they always, like, it's not even that they stepped up the gore. It's like just, oh, shit, that's something I haven't seen. Like Baraka eating out a brain or Scorpion doing the swing around a dude and chopping him in half. Those are all really cool.
I love that you said eating out a brain and not just eating a brain.
What can I say, Jim? Got things on my mind. So my point is, nothing from that game looked crazy. Like, oh man, they're introducing this, and maybe they're hiding. They're keeping some of their cards behind sleeves. I did like that they're showing from Injustice 2. You can have skins, weapons, just a lot more unlockable things. So. In the past, it was like, God damn, I like having Scorpion, but I want to have the classic-looking Scorpion. Now you're going to have that easily. I don't know if it's going to be like Injustice, where if you have certain parts of armor and weapons, it actually gives you boosts. We'll wait and see. I love that system, but one thing I'm not looking forward to, something we talked about very early in this, what you're going to see from that game. The reaction videos to the fatalities. The fucking... this face in every fucking video. Oh my god, it's Baraka eating out a brain. You know, like, what the fuck? Like...
Oh, there's a new bit.
I know that's going to be a goddamn video clip for every friggin' YouTuber out there. And I know so many people, it's like, oh my god, so-and-so reacts to every brutality, every x-ray thing, every... It's like, God damn it. Yeah, we know. By 9, they introduced that shit. By 10, it was like, cool. Now it's like, it's old. Unless they somehow introduce, like, something really even more vulgar, like Baraka skull fucking you to death. I don't know what else could be introduced that's going to be like, that's shocking. I can't believe that. Noob Saibot ripped some dude and the fighters in half. That, to us, was one of the craziest ones. What could they introduce that someone could react so crazily to?
Oh, that is a good... All right. Jax transitions into a woman and tries to buy a game at GameStop.
It's ma'am! I see what you did there.
Topical.
No, I don't know. That's the only thing I'm actually, like... It makes me kind of cringe about the fact that MK is coming out. Is like... Ugh, every time I go on YouTube now, that's all I'm going to see is those videos.
I mean, I don't really remember seeing them that much when the other ones came out. Maybe I don't watch because I don't watch as many Mortal Kombat videos.
New shit. You're like, ooh, pinball for the Atari.
If I see reaction, I'm not going to do it anyway. So,
but you just don't watch anything new. Period. You don't even watch reveal shit for Mortal Kombat.
I like to be surprised by the games.
No, you keep saying that. You're just fucking lazy.
I'm also very lazy.
So don't use that as an excuse. I'd like to be surprised. But here's a 5th time I'm going to watch the same YouTube channel about some old-ass game that I played 25 times. Yeah, exactly. So, let us know.
Gotta get my confirmation bias in, Brian.
Obviously, I think it looks great. The only thing I will say is I don't think the engine looks that much better than 10.
That's the thing that I've seen, like a common criticism
about.
Yeah, is that it doesn't really look upgraded at all from 10. But like, here's the thing. NetherRealm right now is in, like, they're on fire.
Yeah.
They haven't had a miss since MK9, really.
And between that and the Injustice series, like...
Right. So, yeah, it's probably, even going back to our debate, it could just be a lazy sequel that they just throw some different characters and some different animations into.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, we don't know enough yet about, like, whatever game modes or whatever features they're going to throw in there, but... it's kind of hard to think of what new can they really do at this point. Because it doesn't look, visually, it doesn't look that different.
Yeah. 9, number one, the visual upgrade, getting away from 3D, going to 2.5, throwing the X-ray moves. Like we said, and that story, holy shit. 9 was the beginning of a fighting game having a story that was so, like, holy shit, a fighting game can have a story this legit. And then 10 just expanded upon it. I mean, from our reviews, if you want to go back and watch, that engine looks perfect. Like, it doesn't need to look better.
Right.
You had the X-ray moves, you had the brutalities, you had the fatalities. So honestly,
and to be fair, it's dark enough you can hide a lot of shit too. Hide a lot of flaws.
I just don't know what you would need to do. Like, I never could have conceived of the X-ray move, but that was the next level of brutality for Mortal Kombat.
Right.
Like, fatalities were always there, and we've seen some crazy ones. In high def and the way it looks now, obviously it's better. But yeah, it's like you might need to find that next thing past the X-ray move. And obviously, I think they're spending their time with the Injustice games. I don't know if they're continuing after 2. Maybe they are. But that game, they had, it's not X-ray moves, but it's those super powerful, whatever you want to call it. Like,
right. It was essentially X-ray moves.
Yeah. So, I'm going to get it. I'm sure it's going to be the best fighting game of this year.
I mean, to be fair to it, like, MKX was almost a launch game for this generation.
Yeah.
For when it came out. So, like, there should have been enough time where I know this generation of games really wasn't that big. It wasn't as big a leap as, like, 360 was from PS2. Graphically.
No, that's fair.
Like, it's kind of almost like the next generation feels like it'll really be, like, the next big leap. Where this generation was like, it wasn't really necessary.
It looks a lot better, and a lot of games that were previously released on already HD are now extra HD or whatever.
Right.
So, yeah. I don't know.
It was like more of an incremental upgrade, but I do feel that like they it looks good. It's a game I'll get, so I'm not going to be like, oh, it looks like shit, because it doesn't look like shit.
You better get it. I don't want to hear no bullshit.
Yeah. So, but yeah, like you could. My biggest fear with it is that it just has lazy sequel syndrome.
Yeah, and a lot of people, especially I noticed from our reviews, seem to like comment on 10, bitching about the fact that they thought the story from 9 was better, the characters from 9 were better, which 9 was essentially a retelling of 1.
Yeah, and which it's also like 10 did a lot more new.
Yeah.
Where 9 just was like the established stuff, but it just made it good for today's day and age.
Well, except for 9 giving the X-ray and this and that.
Right. Well, besides all that crap.
Yeah.
Like 9 was such an overhaul and such a shock from what was there before.
Yeah.
And such a return to form after, especially DC Universe, that people were way more impressed by it. Where with 10, they're like, oh, it's like 9, but like prettier and with like slightly less stuff.
Yeah, I think the next MK, this one they'll get away with the, as Jim keeps calling it, the kind of lazy sequel. The next one will have to be that next step up. So, let us know what you guys think. Are you excited? There hasn't been a ton revealed. There's like that, like I said, we said Scarlet and that other new character.
Yeah, I mean, it's also way too early right now to really make a full, obvious judgment on it. So, definitely going to wait and see. Definitely going to get it.
There's no doubt. That Resident Evil 2 are my easy, like, oh, I'm getting them this year.
Right. Yeah, and for me, also Marvel vs. Cap or Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3. Depending on what it looks like or what they show.
So, let us know what you think below, guys.
Yeah.
All right, and the last thing we're going to do, this is something I've been kind of toying with for a while. I considered kind of doing a bunch of top 10s for you guys as far as just video game box art, cover art, whatever you want to call it. I'm fascinated by it. It's very much like beer labels, which we've talked about on this channel. Like, that's the thing that can sell a game. If you didn't know what a game is about, even to this day, games that I really love, if I'm on like Xbox, the cover art like will be the thing of, ooh, do I even want to click on this game?
So much box art today is just main character standing there.
It is. And so
we are not in a heyday of box art.
Yeah, so for us, probably the best would be 16-bit and before. Like, I think the Atari had some crazy ones.
Oh, yeah.
And I've unfortunately...
I mean, you had to be extra creative with those games, too.
I unfortunately went back and watched or looked at every single one, trying to start compiling a list of top 10s for Atari stuff. That could be a video that comes out. Oh, no, I've already made the list. You're going to have to go through it.
Oof.
But I've already kind of preemptively, like, okay, these ones are terrible. These are great. These are eh. So we might get there. So in a new bit, if you want to call it that, we're each going to pick a game, and we're just going to talk about the art.
One game a week. Podcast.
Yeah, so basically... If you're watching the main podcast, I'm gonna hold this up. You probably won't see it great. So if you're watching the segment, I'm gonna have the actual picture up. One that I always had weird feelings about, and I want to point out why to Jim, but I'll hold it up, is The Haunting starring Poltergeist. This is one of my favorite Genesis games just because of how goddamn unique it is, and I'm trying to find the best angle for you guys. For those of you who've ever played it, you basically play as this poltergeist who keeps scaring families out of houses, and like you possess items throughout the house, and it causes them to freak out. If you don't get them scared enough, you go to the underworld, have to pick up like ecto goo or whatever the frig it is. Great game, one of the most unique games on the Genesis, in my opinion. Definitely an underrated game.
Back when EA was awesome.
Yeah. So from this cover, Jim, a few things I noticed right off the bat. So,
that friggin' hair.
Yeah, so first starting off with Poltergeist.
The first thing is, this is 90s.
So the hair, the jacket, the leather jacket with the chain around it.
This is the Toot era. This is the attitude.
So it's like, okay, that makes perfect sense why he looks like that, right? The family, it's very interesting to me, like, because it's 90s, it's such a, like...
Not stereotypically Italian enough in my mind.
Well, it's not even just Italian to me. It's very, like, 60s. It's like the dad with the cigar and the suit, the bratty kids, the thing that always cracks me up with the wife, and when I was a kid, I thought I was missing... Like,
what, that 5-head?
Well, no, the fact that that's supposed to be, I think, a wig coming off of her head, and she's bald. Because if you look right here, the hair comes off her head. So that's what fucks me up about this, is like, her hair is coming... Like, why is she bald?
Maybe she has cancer, Brian.
That's what I thought. Right now, looking at it, like, when I chose this, I was like, that's kind of fucked up.
Maybe she's got that, what was that, alopecia?
I don't know.
I forget what that's called.
But either way...
Where you lose all your hair.
It's like, to me, though, this is a very interesting... Like, if you were walking through a video store, you probably see it from the side, but if you saw it from the front, if you were being honest with yourself, what the hell would you think this game is about if you didn't look at the back?
I mean...
You see a couch with lips...
A couch with lips, a family running away, and a
perfect
spooky
fucking teeth,
green
can
guy.
I say? Because
very well-maintained teeth.
Because that's one of the things I'd notice. If I saw a couch with teeth that good looking, I'd be like, God damn, like, you ain't even scary. You're just...
Couch has been to Brushy Land.
Yeah. Fucking Brushy.
Only Philadelphia will get that.
So, my point is, like, you see this cover. Okay, so you see this family running away from a couch with lips and this guy. Like, are you going to kind of get what the game's about just from that?
I'll say this. Like, when I was a kid, obviously with my collector mentality and shit like that, I wasn't a collector when I was a kid. But, like, when I would go to stores, I'd go through all the aisles and shit like that at Genesis games, looking for something to buy. I never even remember hearing about this until a couple years ago. So, maybe I saw it back then. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it was more limited release. I don't know. But it never made an impact back then. It was a game that no one really talked about, so a big thing to get you off the shelf is your cover. So obviously, in the grand scheme of things, this didn't make that big an impact. It's like a hidden gem now. It's goofy. To give it credit, it does show you exactly what goes on in the game, but by looking at it, you have no idea what's going on.
And we know that's a symptom of most games.
Right.
Like, either it's completely misleading or you're not really sure.
And this isn't even misleading at all.
Like, now here's the deal. You turn around, you look at the back. You see a dartboard that turned into an eyeball bleeding. You see that chick freaking out at what looks like some piece of food with a face on it. You see the couch with a mouth. Like, you see some shit that you're like, oh, okay, this especially when you see the blood coming out of the eye, to me, that's a perfect indicator that, like, this could be a pretty goddamn crazy game. Me being into horror, I saw Haunting, I saw that shit as a kid. You know, my brother, I've said multiple times, he always got sports games for a Genesis. This was one of mine. This was like, I need to get this. Played it, was not disappointed. The amount of objects in the game were amazing. But we're not talking about the game, just the cover
16 mega power. I mean, you have all the graphics in the world.
So, overall, I mean, how would you, if you, not saying you are rating it.
Right.
But in general,
I would say good, not great.
Yeah, it's definitely well done.
Yeah.
It's not bad.
Like, the artwork's good, stylized, definitely of the time, tells you what's going on in the game. But something about it just doesn't draw you in.
Yeah, it's like, I don't know, that guy, the creepy dude, like, they were, I don't know.
I think it's got to be Poltergeist itself.
Well, Poltergeist himself, though, like, they trademarked that shit. But my thing is, like, maybe they intended him to be a bigger character than he turned out to be. This is probably...
Maybe they were hoping for a mascot.
I mean, maybe they thought, like, after Beetlejuice and some of that shit, like, this was kind of like a... That's the thing they go towards.
I didn't even think of that. That's a good point.
So, I don't know. To me, it's a very unique cover art. Yeah, it's not the best because, like, of all the things that you animate in that friggin' game...
You know what it is?
Using a couch is the weirdest one.
It's probably too complicated for its own good. Like, if you look at other EA games, like... Jungle Strike. You have a helicopter flying, shit's blowing up. Road Rash. Motorcycles on the cover, guy kicking or like whipping with a chain.
Yeah.
Simple. This, you have a couch with lips with family running away and some green guy.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot to take in there. It's accurate, but I don't think, like, for a person who doesn't know what they're looking at going into it, they're not going to look at it and go... They might be like, oh, let me take a look at the back, which would be a good first step, but...
Yeah.
I don't know, just something about it. It's hard to even articulate how it just slightly misses the mark for me.
So, like you said, this is just a random bit that I wanted to come up with. Jim, next week, we'll pick a game. We'll talk about it. If you're just watching or if you're listening on iTunes, I apologize. You have to look it up. If you're watching on YouTube, the longer clip, just what you're seeing here is what you can see. But if you're watching the segment, you know, I'll have the picture up. Let us know what you guys think. Regardless of the game, do you like the cover art? To me, I'm kind of with Jim. It's not amazing, but it definitely caught my attention as a kid, which is basically the reason why I got it. So,
especially for you being a horror guy. So, like, for a horror guy like you, it's perfect branding.
Yeah. Honestly, yeah, the horror cover would have to be terrible for me to be like, well, fuck this game.
Right.
So, yeah, let us know if you guys think that's an interesting bit. And if you do, if you have any covers you really want us to talk about, send it our way. Or maybe we have the game. I don't know.
Yeah.
But with that, guys, we're going to end it. So, thanks for sticking around with us.
Sorry about the coffin.
Cheers.
Cheers, guys.